Senator Gloria Oroba will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology regarding the localization of digital data storage. The nominated Senator Hamida Kibwana will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health concerning alleged incidents of negligence at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital in Nairobi County. The Senator for Nairobi City County, Senator Edwin Sifuna, will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding compensation to owners of compulsorily acquired land to pave way for the coal and power projects in Kwasasi and Baharini villages in Lamu County. The Senator for Mombasa County, Senator Mwinyi Haji Faki, will seek a statement from the Sessional Committee on Delegated Legislation regarding review of remuneration and benefits of state officers by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission SRC. And finally, the Senator for Kilifi County, Senator Stewart Madzayo, will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations concerning the drought situation in Kilifi County. The debate on a motion by the Senator for Nairobi County on the parking charges in institutions offering essential services to the public will proceed this afternoon. The balance of time is 2 hours. The Senator is concerned that access to hospitals, educational institutions, airports, shopping malls, and other places offering essential services might be hindered due to exorbitant parking fees levied on motorists accessing these services. The Senator is further concerned that charging entry fees amount to double taxation, as the motorists who would have paid the parking fees will still pay for the services they seek. Now, therefore, the Senate urges the Cabinet Secretary for Land, Housing and Physical Planning, together with the Council of Governors, to come up with a policy framework to create an enabling environment for protection of motorists accessing essential services from paying exorbitant parking fees. The debate on this motion had already begun and it will resume this afternoon. The Senator Hamida Kibwana will move a motion on the promotion of mental health facilities for mothers. The Senator is going to move that motion after the House is done debating the motion by the Honorable Senator for Nairobi County, Senator Edwin Sifuna. Now, aware that according to the World Health Organization, globally, 10% of pregnant women and 13% of women who have just given birth experience a mental condition referred to as the prenatal depression, which is higher in developing countries, with 15.6% during pregnancy and 19.8% after childbirth. Further aware that women who go through stillbirth and those that lose their children during delivery are taken to the general maternity ward, where the mothers with healthy babies are recovering, causing them mental anguish and adversely impacting their mental health. If you're just joining us, this are live proceedings of the Senate this afternoon, and now I will hand you over for the live broadcast.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our regulation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those interests you have committed to our church. Amen. Honorable Senators, I have confirmed that we have quorum, so let's transact business.
Administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority leader. All other majority whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of this Senate. Today, the 26th of October 2022, reports of Auditor General for the year ended 30th June 2021 on the financial statements of the following. 1. Kajiado County Executive Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund. County Assembly of Kajiado Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Kajiado County Youth Fund and Women Enterprise Fund, Kajiado County Disability Mainstreaming Fund, Kajiado County Emergency Fund, Kajiado County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Noelel Turush Loitoktok Water and Sewerage Company Limited, or Kajiado Water and Sewerage Company Limited, or Lalaiser Water and Sewerage Company. Mr. Speaker, furthermore, we have Elekeo Marakwet County Executive Car and Mortgage Revolving Fund, Elekeo Marakwet Education Fund Executive, Elekeo Marakwet County Assembly Catering Services Revolving Fund, Elekeo Marakwet County Assembly Car and Mortgage Revolving Fund, Elekeo Marakwet Alcoholic Drinks and Control Fund, Iten Tambach Water and Sewerage Company Limited, West Pokot County Assembly Car and Mortgage Fund, West Pokot County Assembly Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, West Pokot County Bursary Education Development and Infrastructure Fund, Migori County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Migori County Car Loan and Mortgage Fund for the executive and then for the assembly. Migori County Ward Development Fund, Migori Water Sanitation and Company Limited, Mandera County Education Bursary Fund, Eluak Water and Sewerage Company Limited, Mandera Water and Sewerage Company Limited, Busia County Agricultural Development Fund, Busia County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Nyamira County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Nyamira County Assembly Car and Mortgage Loan Scheme Fund, Nyamira County Education Bursary Fund, Nyamira County Emergency Fund, Nyamira Municipality, Bomet County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Bomet County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Bomet County Education Revolving Fund, Bomet County Bursary Fund, Bomet Water Company Limited, Kilifi County Assembly Car and Mortgage Loan Fund, Kilifi County Water Scholarship Fund, Kilifi Municipality, and Mr. Speaker, finally, Kilifi Mariakani Water and Sewage Company Limited. I beg to lay.
Very well.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, next order.
You will pay him.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
We have two notices of motion. We start with Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of motion on integrating climate education into the national education curriculum. Aware that climate change is a complex social and scientific issue which is characterized by uncertain and context-specific knowledge, demanding that educators engage in inquiry and co-learning with students, while noting the lack of time and curriculum opportunities to address climate change in the classroom, cognizant of the fact that the Constitution of Kenya, in Article 42, provides for the right to a clean and healthy environment for every Kenyan, which includes the right to have the environment protected for the benefit of the present and future generations, noting that climate change is a global nightmare with consequences that are already quite visible and should be a priority for the national education curriculum in accordance to Article 12 of the Paris Agreement, which espouses the enhancement of climate change education, training, public awareness, public participation, and public access to information, further noting that climate change education explores mitigation and adaptation at both local and global level, critical and creative thinking and capacity building that will enable youth to engage with the information, inquire, understand, ask critical questions, and take what they determine are appropriate actions to respond to climate change, acknowledging that the Climate Change Act 2016 addresses the integration of climate change into various disciplines and subjects of the national education curriculum at all levels, as well as requiring that the National Climate Council advises public agencies responsible for regulating universities and tertiary institutions' curricula on integration of climate change into their curricula. Now, therefore, the Senate calls upon the Ministry of Education, in liaison with the Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development, to 1. Mainstream climate change education throughout formal education systems through integrating climate education in the school curriculum to creatively prepare children and young people for a rapidly changing, uncertain, risky, and possibly dangerous future, and 2. Train and equip teachers and school administrators with the necessary information and skills to teach climate education and explore new approaches to learning that can contribute to the transformation of unsustainable climate systems, values, and routines. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the notice.
Thank you. Next, notice of motion by Senator Danson Mungatana.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the motion effects of upstream activities on the river Tana to the residents of Tana Delta. Mr. Speaker, that are aware that water is a fundamental resource to life, livelihood, food security, and sustainable development, and an economic good, which is critical for the sustainable development of the country. Further aware that the river Tana plays an important role in the lives of the communities living along its banks, including Garissa and Tana River counties, whose main economic activities are livestock keeping, farming, and fishing. Recognizing that Article 43(1)(d) of the Constitution provides that every Kenyan has the right to clean and safe water in adequate quantities. Noting that the residents of Tana River County have perennially suffered from acute effects of flooding and inadequate supply of water to its residents and their livestock, cognizant that the challenge of flooding has predominantly been caused by KenGen's release of huge amounts of water from the Seven Forks Dam, which combine with rainwater from the highlands. Further, cognizant that the hoarding of water at the Seven Forks dams and other significant upstream activities such as irrigation and small-scale dams, limits the amount of water that flows downstream through River Tana significantly, affecting agricultural activities in irrigation schemes such as Bura, Galole, and other small-scale irrigation schemes in the Tana Delta as a result of inadequate water supply to the canals and channel the water to the irrigation schemes. Concerned that limited water supply to the hinterland and irrigation schemes cause severe hunger to the residents of Tana River, death of livestock, and conflicts between farmers and herders, and that floods cause deaths, displacements, and other challenges like waterborne diseases such as cholera downstream at Tana Delta. Now, therefore, the Senate urges the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, in conjunction with the Ministry with Water Resources Authority, to 1. Conduct stakeholder participation before undertaking any major upstream activity, including construction of dams, before the release of water during rainy season, and limiting flow of water to the River Tana during the dry season. 2. Develop a policy in line with the Lyle Treaty of 1959 to guarantee average annual flow of the River Tana. And 3, come up with mitigation measures to the perennial flooding and water scarcity to the residents of Tana Delta. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Mgatana. Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
We have a personal. Okay. Let us get the statements under Standing Order 52-1. Senator for Migori County, Senator Ende Okech. I've called Senator Ende Okech to give you a statement. Proceed. Are you Dende or we? Sorry? Yes, Senator for Nairobi. Give him the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 51. Yesterday there was a question and I wanted that you make a direction on this. The Standing Orders speak of a statement hour. Mr. Speaker, I have spoken to many of my colleagues, especially on the minority side, who think that the statements hour is no longer an hour. It is taking too long, Mr. Speaker, and we are waiting for prosecuting of the other matters down the order paper. And we find that most of the time, like people who have motions, most of the time, even if the matter is on the order paper, they never get to prosecute the matter. So I wanted your decision, Mr. Speaker, your directive, that in fact now that we have entered the statement hour, immediately 1 hour is done. Then other statements can be pushed to the next sitting, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
You know, Senator for Nairobi County, Senator Sifuna, you know when the chair as when presenting and you are given 20 statements, what do you do after the hour? You get to the hour. Before you get to the next order, do you stop the statements after 1 hour. So they speak around that we do the statements, but I will also advise members that, there are a lot of interjection requests to contribute to statements. And yesterday I was trying to limit members even 1 minute. And maybe two members this side and two this other side, But members approaching the chair every time, give us more time, let us contribute. So maybe from today, let us see whether we can stick to the 1 hour. Thank you. Senator Okech.
Mr. Speaker, protect me from the heckling by Senator Cherargei. But he's my friend. He likes people from Sondu, so it's okay. Mr. Speaker, I rise today pursuant to Standing Order number 52. 1, to make a statement on a matter of general topic of concern, namely concern over the predatory asset-based lending by microfinance lending companies in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, Kenya has experienced an exponential growth of approximately 80% in the number of micro lending companies for the period of 2016 to about 2022 now. This growth has been as a result of the prevailing unemployment and underemployment levels in Kenya that have led to significant number of Kenyans turning to get loans to establish businesses and or supplement their meager economic earnings. Mr. Speaker, it is noteworthy that formal banking and microfinance institutions loan facilities remain inaccessible to the average Kenyan due to their lengthy and complicated procedures and thresholds for accessing the loans, which are unfavorable to low-income earners. To make the situation worse, Mr. Speaker, microlending companies offering unsecured loans provide small loans which are not significant enough to finance or establish a relatively good business venture. This has made the average Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, to opt for asset-based loans, with loans backed by collateral of motorcycles and motor vehicles being the most common and attractive form of borrowing today in our markets. Mr. Speaker, microlenders such as Mogo, Watu, Progressive Credit, Tugende, and Mkopa, who took up the space in this niche, are offering their products at exorbitant interest rates, usually averaging between 4.5% per month and about 5% per month, and generally going to about 54% per annum, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, placing the borrowers at a great disadvantage. Needless to say, Mr. Speaker, these exorbitant interest rates, in light of the prevailing economic conditions, result into default on payments and repossession of the buckling collateral assets. With statistics showing, actually, Mr. Speaker, that the repossession rate of motorbikes in our country today stands at an approximate number of 50%. Mr. Speaker, the repossession of collateral assets, especially in cases where at least 30% of the value of the assets have been paid up, is an extremely punitive remedy, and since asset-based microlending companies operate in a limited regulatory space, recourse for the borrower is limited, leaving a majority of struggling Kenyans today at a loss when they lose their assets. Mr. Speaker, these high interest rate loans and the punitive remedies on default only exacerbate the unemployment challenge in the country by significantly reducing net revenues to businesses and leading to closure of businesses in extreme cases, with the end result being that the borrowers get trapped in a vicious circle of poverty, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, there is need to protect the average Kenyans that find themselves in such situations of exploitation, to align the underlying contracts to the exigencies of the state and to ethical norms. I note, Mr. Speaker, with concern that the strides made in the regulation of microlenders with the enactment of the Central Bank Amendment Act of 2021 only empowered the central bank to regulate digital credit providers. Mr. Speaker, sir, Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, provides for the Bill of Rights for every Kenyan, and for some of those rights include the right to human dignity. Under Article 28, the right not to have their possessions seized, and the right to information necessary for them to gain full benefit from goods and services provided within our borders. Mr. Speaker, Amendment number 9 of 2006 of the Kenya Banking Act introduced the independent rule into Kenyan legislation, which provides that the sum of the interest and the legal costs in respect of the outstanding debt may not exceed the initial capital amount of the contract. If the independent rule is applied, the running of interest stops when unpaid interest equals the outstanding capital balance, and that expenses incurred in the recovery of any amounts owed by the debtor may be recovered. Mr. Speaker, sir, the legislature is known to intervene in certain circumstances by way of legislation designed to protect Kenyans from the harsh effects of transactions induced to benefit commercial interests in disregard of the principles of social justice. I would therefore, Mr. Speaker, like to conclude by appealing to this Senate to call upon the Ministry of National Treasury and Economic Planning, 1, to bring into regulation all asset-based microlending companies replacing a ceiling on the interest rates chargeable on their loans. 2, extend the application of the independent rule in limiting the amount of interest recoverable on defaulted loans by microlending companies, and capacity build before the end of the loan term, basically having the lenders capacity building, do capacity building for the people who are borrowing from them. Mr. Speaker, in view of the severity of this matter, I humbly request that you refer this statement to the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget for further inquiry and recommendations pursuant to Standing Order number 52-3. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Eddie Gisheru Okech, MP, Senator for Migori County.
Okay. The statement from Senator Eddie Gisheru stands committed to the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. As what is out of order? Senator Samson.
Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate Senator Eddie Kisheru, the senator from Migori. I can see he's learning very fast from me, which is a good thing. Mr. Speaker, maybe a quick issue is this issue of digital credit providers. I think as the government addresses that, I agree with him, because for us, where we come from, most of the families have been trapped in vicious circle of poverty. Sometimes these people appear with the police, they take house, they take TVs. Mr. Speaker, this thing has caused a lot of domestic problems, because most of the women from where I come from, some of them go and borrow and do a collateral of cows, sufurias, and everything in the house. These people, when they are coming back for their money, Mr. Speaker, and I think we need a protective legislation, they come with administration police officers. What they do, they don't even negotiate. They drive away the cows. They take maybe Mahindi in stores, Mr. Speaker. They take television sets. They take sofa sets. Mr. Speaker, apart from causing domestic problems through this micro-lending, Mr. Speaker, it also, Mr. Speaker, creates vicious circle of poverty, as my brother said. So I hope the committee, I think, of finance, Mr. Speaker, finance and budget should come up with an appropriate measure, Mr. Speaker, on how we can be able to protect our people who are innocent, by the way, Mr. Speaker. Because when you go and sign these things, they ensure that it is fine print. You don't see what you are signing. Most of our people are very old. They don't even have, they don't have spectacles, Mr. Speaker, or reading glasses, and therefore they end up signing themselves to something like a death warrant, Mr. Speaker. And most people, after this has undergone through, Mr. Speaker, and the Senator of Siaya can agree with me, is that some of these people go to depression, they go to stress, and some of them even end up committing suicide. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue must be handled properly so that our families do not cause domestic problems, do not cause vicious circle, and also mental health. Some of these mental illnesses you see, Mr. Speaker, in the villages is because what happens when microfinancing in the tow, and I hope the incoming CS of Interior should look at this, where these people go and get the AP, they come to the village and take everything. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Okay, before we go to the statements and standing on the 53-1, let us get a personal statement from Senator Murkomen. Kipchumba Murkomen, former leader, and now a minister. Waziri, karibu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for indulging me to make this personal statement, Mr. Speaker. Under Standing Order number 58, to make my personal statement following my nomination by His Excellency President William Ruto to serve as a Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Roads, Transport and Public Works. Mr. Speaker, this morning, our sister house, the National Assembly, approved our names, and the names of the Cabinet Secretary's nominees approved includes my name, as it is now in public domain that I was nominated by the President to serve in that docket. And following that nomination, Mr. Speaker, it is now my departure from this august house is imminent. I am, Mr. Speaker, standing here with mixed feelings because Senate has been home for over 10 years. In the year 2013, I was elected by the people of Elgeyo Marakwet County on the 4th of March 2013 to serve as the senator for Elgeyo Marakwet County. That time, Mr. Speaker, I was barely 33 years. Mr. Speaker, in the contest that led to my election, I competed with seasoned politicians, including the late Nicholas Biwott, whom, Mr. Speaker, was my worthy competitor, and the people, notwithstanding my financial status, my unknown name, my unknown background, the people of Elgeyo Marakwet County, having listened to my manifesto, agreed to elect me to come and serve them in this house. Mr. Speaker, I am eternally grateful that despite that background, my people decided that they were going to vote for me. And Mr. Speaker, when I came here, my colleagues whom we served together, many of whom were very seasoned politicians, worked with me, walked with me, mentored me, respected me, Mr. Speaker, and from the onset, I was entrusted with responsibility in this chamber. I became the first chair of the Devolved Government and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. I became, Mr. Speaker, a member of the Public Accounts Committee, pioneer member of the Public Accounts Committee, and that County Public Accounts Committee, for my colleagues whom we were together here, you remember the challenges we went through, summoning governors to come to this house and shaping, Mr. Speaker, the relationship of this house in some matters of accountability with counties. I became, Mr. Speaker, a member of the Speaker's panel. From day one, I had the responsibility of chairing sessions of this house on behalf of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker when they were not in session. And Mr. Speaker, I was also given the honor of being, Mr. Speaker, a member of Pan-African Parliament. And through that, Mr. Speaker, I served this country and this Senate with a lot of diligence, commitment, passion. And what I remember, Mr. Speaker, is that it didn't take 6 months. And as a chair of devolution committee, I had to guide the House when we decided that we had to go to Supreme Court for an advisory opinion at a time when the mandate of this House, Mr. Speaker, was being challenged by the National Assembly. And this House, Mr. Speaker, must be remembered that in the first Senate, the first year of the Senate, we did not get the opportunity to, Mr. Speaker, discuss county allocation of revenue bill and, Mr. Speaker, division of revenue bill, because at that point in time, the National Assembly thought we should not have that mandate. And because of our concerted effort as a team and the trust that the leadership of the House that time, Senate, had, we managed, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we get an advisory opinion from the Supreme Court that protected the authority of this House and the jurisdiction of this House, Mr. Speaker, which sadly has continued to suffer in the hands of, Mr. Speaker, our sister House in the National Assembly. It didn't take 3 years, Mr. Speaker. In 2016, one of my colleagues, Senator Charles Keter, who was the Deputy Majority Leader, was nominated in the same way I have been nominated to serve in the cabinet. And the opportunity that came, my party, Mr. Speaker, nominated me and approved me to be the Deputy Majority Leader. Again, Mr. Speaker, at a young age of, Mr. Speaker, barely 36 years, I became the Deputy Majority Leader of this House. And, Mr. Speaker, from then onwards, Mr. Speaker, I also relinquished other responsibilities. But it must be remembered also, Mr. Speaker, that at a time when we had a challenge about the mandate of this House, I became a chair of a select committee deputized by Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. then to protect again and find ways of using the Constitution to protect the mandate of this House. Mr. Speaker, I have been lucky to be part of many initiatives in this House, including being a member of a joint committee, Mr. Speaker, of both houses that looked into electoral reform that was formed, Mr. Speaker, in 2016, and that led to the massive electoral reforms that then chaired by Senator Kiraitu Murungi and Senator Orengo. Mr. Speaker, I leave this House having sponsored a number of bills and having pushed many bills as Majority Leader, Mr. Speaker, because I was re-elected in 2017, given the responsibility of being the Majority Leader. And for the 2.5 years I served as a Majority Leader, I pushed so many bills and fought again, continuously fought for the authority and the protection of the mandate and jurisdiction of this House on matters bills, especially on the operationalization of Article 110 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that responsibility required at times to disagree with the executive of the very party, Mr. Speaker, that nominated me. I believe some of the reasons why I was removed as Majority Leader, apart from other external political reasons, is, Mr. Speaker, I brought to this chamber a 20-page statement challenging, Mr. Speaker, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services as an entity, Mr. Speaker, taking over responsibilities of Nairobi County. The president then might have been angry with me as the majority leader, but I remember, Mr. Speaker, that I swore that I will protect and defend the Constitution. I'm glad, Mr. Speaker, that as time goes, time has proven, Mr. Speaker, that I was right on the issue of Nairobi Metropolitan Services, considering the things and the misdeeds that happened in Nairobi City. Mr. Speaker, there were so many instances here that we had to do things that sometimes we disagree with the executive, privately or publicly. And I believe that that example that we set will assist the leadership of this House, particularly my friend Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, as he pursues, Mr. Speaker, as he leads this House, particularly being the political leader of the majority side, to ensure that even though he is a friend of the president, and even though he comes from the majority party, that he may not lose sight of his responsibility to defend and protect the Constitution and protect the mandate, Mr. Speaker, of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I know that time has come, like the Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, that, Mr. Speaker, there is a time for everything. And, Mr. Speaker, time has come. The 10 years that the people of Elgeyo Marakwet entrusted me to serve in this House, Mr. Speaker, has come to an end. Anytime this afternoon, I will hand in my resignation letter to you, Mr. Speaker. That even as I do so, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I'm very proud of my tenure in this House for 10 years. It is not for me to tell Kenyans whether I left a legacy or not. It's for historians to write about my responsibility in this House. There's a lot we would have achieved, Mr. Speaker, had we sorted the problem of relationship between this House and the National Assembly. There's a lot, Mr. Speaker, our country would have benefited if there was a proper implementation of Article 110 of the Constitution insofar as bills concerning county. There is a lot that this country lost, Mr. Speaker, by denying the opportunity, Senate the opportunity to contribute to matters of bills. That is one area, Mr. Speaker, even as I exit from this door, Mr. Speaker, to the executive, that is one area I will continue being an ambassador of the Senate. That is one area, Mr. Speaker, I will work with the leadership of this House to ensure that the executive respects the mandate of the Senate. And luckily, we have had many discussions with the current president about protection of the mandate of the Senate. And I believe that we shall be able to achieve this through consultation, cooperation, and more so, Mr. Speaker, through very transformative leadership that will be offered by this House. Mr. Speaker, I leave this House knowing that I leave very great men and women whom, Mr. Speaker, were recently elected. And unfortunately, I used to joke, especially to the majority side, particularly our SG knows that it was, I was telling her it would have been my greatest pleasure to be here to mentor her, but also to monolize her a little bit. Mr. Speaker, I have not had that chance. She has just told me, you are leaving before you did anything to monolize us. But, Mr. Speaker, the men and women elected on both sides of the House are people who have served this country in very senior capacities, Mr. Speaker, people who have relevant experiences, Mr. Speaker, in different fields and in different professions, Mr. Speaker. I believe that if they take their responsibility seriously, and I want to tell honorable members here, you don't know what's going on inside me. There are things I'm very proud I did, but there are things I regret that I didn't take time to do. Maybe I would have done more bills. Maybe I would have come with more statements. This is a forum, Mr. Speaker, we must be honest to one another, that we are so privileged to be among the only 67 men and women entrusted by the people of Kenya to run the affairs of the Senate. And how many 50 million Kenyans would wish one day they would enter that door? We must never take it for granted, Mr. Speaker. We must make sure that our names are inscribed in the annals of history. We must make sure, Mr. Speaker, that Hansard one day will say there were men and women who came through this door, Mr. Speaker, and as they left legacy in this House. And I think that is the message I want to leave to you, my colleagues. I am proud that inside these chambers, there are colleagues we schooled together. Senator Sigei, who is my legal partner, Mr. Speaker, was a class behind me. Mr. Speaker, the Secretary General of ODM, Senator Sifuna was also a classmate of Sigei. So that's the people we schooled together, friends of our generation. Mr. Speaker, I have two students in this house. Senator Cherargei and Senator Chimera, Mr. Speaker, are sitting in this house as my former students. I have also, Mr. Speaker, sat in this house with my teachers. Unfortunately, there are none who are here, but of course, you all know I keep saying here that Senator Kindiki was my teacher and my leader when we were here together. And Mr. Speaker, many other people, including our senior clerk, Mr. Speaker, Eunice Kishangi was my teacher. So this place presents us an opportunity to have everybody a cocktail of leadership, from the senior Oburu Odinga, Mr. Speaker, to a young Senator Cherargei, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Chimera, gives us that opportunity to transfer leadership and create a concoction of leadership, Mr. Speaker, that is able to assist and make Kenya a better country. Even as I go and serve in the executive, I know that I am removing my political cloth, Mr. Speaker, my otherwise partisan political cloth, that sometimes you must be able to defend your political side. But when I go there, I will be required to serve everybody equally without considering their political side, their political persuasions, Mr. Speaker. And I look forward to visiting all constituencies, all wards, all counties, Mr. Speaker, without consideration of who voted for who, Mr. Speaker, and serve this country to make it a great nation. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I believe that the challenges that are before us, Mr. Speaker, are not unsurmountable. It is actually possible to resolve them. Number one, we must pursue, Mr. Speaker, a full implementation of Article 110 of the Constitution. The case that is pending in the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker, we must take in the goodwill of having a former senator, an immediate former senator of Bungoma, serving as the Speaker of the National Assembly, and having, Mr. Speaker, Senator Cheriot, his colleague and his friend, being the majority leader here, and having, Mr. Speaker, yourself and the Speaker of this House. All of us must be able to sit down, both sides, Senator Matsayo leading the minority side, and, Mr. Speaker, hammer an out-of-court settlement, a consent, Mr. Speaker, recorded at the Supreme Court. My dream is not to withdraw the case, but to have a consent recorded, Mr. Speaker, on the operationalization of Article 110 of the Constitution. That way, we will respect the mandate of the Senate. Number two, Mr. Speaker, in the immediate period that is before us, we must be able to ensure that the Senate has an oversight fund. If you look at senates in the world, all parliaments in the world, including the United States, where citizens sometimes accuse senators of having a lot of salary in this country, it is true that salaries of the U.S. senator, Mr. Speaker, might be modest. But look at the support system they are given behind, Mr. Speaker. It runs into millions because they are facilitated to have public participation with their voters. They are facilitated to carry out audit reports. They have even tickets to fly to their counties and come back. Mr. Speaker, we are not asking the favor. The Senate is not asking for a favor. It's asking, Mr. Speaker, that the Senate and senators be facilitated to perform their responsibilities. Even if, and I know, because I've interacted with many senators here, none of them is asking to be given money to manage. They want money be given to Senate, Mr. Speaker, and be allocated to their constituencies and counties for them to go and do public participation audits, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that the resources that are given to counties will make sense. I will ensure that I incorporate the intergovernmental relations requirement in my leadership in the executive to make sure that the working relationship between counties and national government is achieved for proper accountability, Mr. Speaker, and proper use of the resources. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I believe that the challenge we must surmount in this chamber, and I've seen it before, we must ensure that we work bipartisan. Mr. Speaker, one of my most memorable moments in this House is when we protected marginalized counties in the county allocation of revenue bill. Mr. Speaker, countless times in this House, we sat together, all of us from both sides of the political divide, and Mr. Speaker, crossed the floor to interact and persuade each other to make sure that when it is national interest, there will be no, Mr. Speaker, Azimio, and there will be no Kenya Kwanza. There will be only one Kenya that will be able to produce results to protect the citizens of this republic. And when the time comes for discussing that formula again, or any other matter that is national in nature, I look forward to a leadership in this chamber that will cross the floor to negotiate and consult about, Mr. Speaker, leadership in this House. I cannot exhaust my 10 years, the experience I've had, Mr. Speaker, being the captain of the football team, and Mr. Speaker, scoring so many goals in Arusha and other parts of this country, Dar es Salaam, and other areas, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of Bunge FC. I will miss those great moments. I hope to continue training with the Bunge FC and perhaps participate in the East African parliamentary games, Mr. Speaker. I cannot exhaust the countless times we went for trips, Mr. Speaker, both nationally and internationally, to see what other countries have done. And now we brought back those experiences here. I made great friends. Unfortunately, I have not had enough time to interact with the current lot of senators, but I look forward to coming back here anytime I am summoned, Mr. Speaker, including almost summoning myself, so that I can participate with colleagues here to ensure that the ministry I'm going to head is meaningful to the people of Kenya. To the people of Elgeyo-Marakwet County, I am forever grateful. To my family, Mr. Speaker, my wife and my 4 little children, Mr. Speaker, I am forever grateful. To my family, my parents, who struggled through tough times in life, to educate me and give me this opportunity to reach this far, I am forever grateful. And to the President who nominated me to be a Cabinet Secretary, I want to say to the President, I will serve this country with great humility and great honor, and I thank him for trusting me to serve the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I am overwhelmed by emotions, but I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen. It is not the tradition of this House actually to allow debate on personal statements, but actually the Standing Order 58 says, but such matter may not be debated. So I have some leeway as the chair of this session to allow at least 3 members from both sides. Each side 3. And today I want to start with our elder, Senator Oburu Ondinga. Let us hear your voice.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity to, first of all, congratulate our brother, Honorable Murkomen, for the appointment as the Minister in charge of roads. Murkomen has been an outstanding senator. I have not been in the Senate with him, but being a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, I used to hear a lot about his contributions in this House. And I would not like to say a lot, but Mr. Speaker, I would only like to urge Honorable Murkomen to do what he has said. He has said he is not going to be partisan in dispensing services to the people of Kenya. And I hope, Honorable Murkomen, the way you have been acting, we hope that in your new endeavors, you will offer services to the people and you will forget about elections. Elections are over and it is time to work. It is now time to fulfill all the promises which you made to the Kenyan people. When you do that, we are not going to pull your leg. We are only going to oversight you to make sure that you don't deviate from what you said, you promised to do. But as long as you are working for the people, we shall be with you and we shall encourage you to continue to serve the people of Kenya. So, Mr. Honorable Murkomen, I don't have much to say, but please talk to people who are still creating, campaign moods by even trying to lure some people from our side and telling them to come to your side, that they are trying to weaken the opposition. They promised that they will not do handshake, that they will want a strong opposition to deal with, to oversight the government. So when you are talking to leaders and saying, we don't understand you, why are you not coming to us? Why are you not talking? That is not the way to go. I think there must be opposition, there must be people who are on your side, and there must be people who are on this side, and let us all work together in the interest of the Kenyan people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senior. Honorable Senators, let us take at least 2 minutes so that we can make some progress. Senator Keloche Tabitha.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take also this opportunity and congratulate Senator Murkomen. I know we have to get used.
Just a minute, Senator Tabitha. Senator Kajwang Moses, are you on a point of order or maybe? Okay. Proceed, Senator Tabitha.
Yeah. Also, I want to take this opportunity and thank Senator Murkomen for his new appointment as Waziri of Roads. I know we'll get used now to calling him Waziri of Roads soon. So congratulations, Murkomen. You may never know. Me, I'm very new in this house. I've been an outsider. You may never know, so I'll talk on behalf of the outsiders, that we all knew that we had somebody we could rely on when they were in this house. Anytime, like me, I know I've gone through a lot of challenges, but anytime I was going through those challenges, I know you always called me and assured me that you are behind me and the support that you always give me. And even when I also wanted to come to politics, I remember you're the first person, you may never know, you're the first person to call me and tell me I've made the right choice. So I'm talking as an outsider, but I know we need more Murkomen in this house. As we continue doing whatever we'll be doing in the next 5 years, remember, the outsiders look at us. And me being one, I knew Murkomen was one of those people that Kenyans relied on. So I'm sure we'll work hard to ensure we fill the gap and enter into issues to ensure that even us, people outside, can rely on us and know that whatever will happen, we have people that they can rely on. And now, being the Minister for Roads, and you've promised that you're going to work for all of us in Kenya, you look not in a political way. I remember, and I know the senators, some of the senators who visited Keroche, it's about 1.85 kilometers. I'm not whatever for myself, but it's about 1.5 kilometers. But they were really shocked to see the pathetic, how the road is pathetic. So, and when I asked the last government to make that, whatever they were asking me, how many votes will we get out of that road? So I know you'll not be looking at that, you'll be looking at how much is coming from that company. So a company able to pay over 200 million a month should be done its road, which is only 100 million, worth 100 million. So for me, is to wish you all the best and to say that I'm very sure this government that has come on board and the CSAs that have been elected, His Excellency will give them now the free hand to make the decisions, because the last government, I know we had a government that had all the ministers, 22 or 23, but none of them could make any decision. So I'm very sure outside there, the business community, the people of Kenya are watching to see that this cabinet will ensure that it works like the way Kibaki cabinet worked, where Kina Dr. Uburu was assistant minister, and you could even rely on an assistant minister, not even a full minister. So here we are now waiting and watching and praying for you to ensure that that cabinet does what Kenya deserve to be done for. Is it business? Is it creation of the jobs and ensuring that you serve everybody, not looking at who elected you and who didn't elect you. So Murkomen, congratulations, keep it up, and I know now we'll feel the fire when it comes now to the fire that you've come out with from here as a member of Senate. I'm sure we'll feel it, we'll hear it, we'll get it when you're in the cabinet. Thank you so much. Let's walk everywhere in our counties and find roads are built. And we start talking of the government of His Excellency because...
Sorry, but your wonderful message has been conveyed to Senator Murkomen. Senator Manzo Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to congratulate my friend, Waziri Kipchumba Murkomen, also known as OKM. And I remember when I was Secretary of Cooperatives, he is one of the young lawyers we worked with the cooperative movement to enlighten the issues dealing with the cooperative movement on television shows and to encourage young people to join circles, to save money. So we quite often employ the skills to push the cooperative movement to the young people in the country, and he's been a firebrand. And at one point, when I joined politics in 2007, I role modeled him just a little bit, not much, and even as a young lawyer, he told me one day he admired a few things I was doing, because both of us came from the village and we were soon capturing the city. So I really want to congratulate you, and I know you have strong Christian background. You fit very well in the nation, and you fit very well at the village. Therefore, I really want you to be a role model to many, many young people, a true role model of what hard work can give somebody, and how trusting in the Lord and working, serving the people without ill will at all, and smiling even when things are adverse, and finding hope and getting things moving is a good way. There is a very big challenge in the Ministry of Laws. A little effort was made by the previous regime, you have seen, and also a lot of effort. You have seen the new developments. I believe we are going to develop the country more. We'll have more tarmac, especially Ukia Emali Road has been promised by the previous regime for over 10 years. It didn't work. Where we have done Thwake Dam, we are looking for a connection between Kitui and Wote, places you know very well, 72 kilometers, and I believe you are fit to do this job. We look forward to support you in this particular venture, and may God bless you in this venture, and may you serve the people of Kenya. I thank you.
I hope Senator Murkomen is writing down those loans you are mentioning. Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Senator Murkomen, you are very famous in Tana River County. And when we were campaigning, our people kept on saying, when you go there, you should be like Senator Murkomen, which is strange because you are younger than me in the profession and in many other ways. But we thank you for the service you gave to this country. We cannot repay you in this Senate, but I can assure you that God has seen the sweat of your brow. The people of Kenya have seen the work you have done, and we thank you for the work you have done. As you go, I want to make a special plea. Tana River County has only one major trunk road, a tarmac road. The whole county. It's a shame, Mr. Speaker, that after 50 years, more than 50 years, we are only talking of one county road that connects Kilifi, Tana River, and goes to Garissa County. We have spoken in many places that there is a way we can connect with Kitui County. There's a way we can connect to Nairobi in a shortcut. We don't have to take all these hours to take our produce to the markets. So we ask you to think of us in terms of bottom-up approach. There are many people who have needs, but our country will only be as strong as its weakest economy. It will only be as strong, a rope will be only as strong as its weakest point of connection. And so we ask you to think about us as you take your responsibility. Thank you.
Senator Onyonka Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is very interesting because I have known Honorable Senator Murkomen for quite a while. Mr. Speaker, I happen to have a small advantage that I've actually been in this parliament for the last 23 years. When the Senate started, he came out as one of the very articulate, intelligent young people who actually gave youth its very good face. We highly respect you. I personally respect you because I've worked with you. Remember once we were working together with the president now. Please remember that the expectation is going to be very high. The reason being that if you come to Kisii, my brother, you'll see that some roads have been half done. Other areas have got 200 kilometers done in one constituency, and yet in others you'll find there's 16 kilometers done. I believe that you will be dignified enough to be fair and reasonable to most of these areas. If you look at Kisii, as the county that I represent, Waziri now, Murkomen, I hope when you come there, please engage the members of parliament, your Senate colleagues, so that we can walk around and show you some of the issues that are disturbing our people. Otherwise, I congratulate you. I think you will do well. You've so far done well. And I'm happy to also be emotional with you and saying, wish you well, perform well, and may God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Wamatinga Wahome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mine would be a very, very short one. I would surprise everybody that when Senator Murkomen came to Nyeri County and campaigned for me and said this is the right guy to be the senator, people of Nyeri said, if you are going to be like Murkomen, we are going to elect you. Now that you've not taken long enough here for me to learn from you, I would want to wish you the best. I know you are good and you're cut for the job. I know that you'll have a very big challenge because you have the both, number one and number two, they are workaholics, they are workhorses. I know they'll drive you, but I know that you have what it takes. Mine is to wish you the best. I know that you have what it takes, and congratulations for the new law. We'll be praying for you. When you come around, please come and check on us and tell us how we are performing from out there, because some of us, even being older than you, we know that people talk about you. You've built a name around you. People have seen Senator Murkomen as a beacon of hope, and they want us to copy you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I can see still there is a lot of interest in wishing our brother Senator Murkomen well wishes. I will give more members. So that we can at least bid you good farewell. The mood of this house is like they want to suspend business. Just one. So let's proceed. Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate my friend and my age mate, Kipchumba Murkomen, on his appointment to the cabinet. I'm older than him by 10 days, him being born in March and I being born in February. Unlike other speakers who are elected to be like Murkomen, the people of Homa Bay elected me to check Murkomen. And now that he's leaving the house, I don't know who I'll be checking, because Cheriot is already being checked by Madzayo. So I'll find another target, maybe a female target this time to check, now that Murkomen is gone. But I want to ask Murkomen to be true to one thing that I've known him for. Murkomen always speaks truth to power. I remember him coming to Bomas one time, and it was a very hostile environment, and he spoke and he made his point. And please continue speaking truth to power. There is no perfect or excellent government, and when things are not going wrong, please exercise your free will and your mind that we have come to get us accustomed to. Secondly, I pray, Senator Murkomen, there's a petition before the Roads Committee, and I pray that you'll get an opportunity to come to Homa Bay County. Mr. Speaker, this gentleman came all the way to Homa Bay to help me bury my mother at a time when people thought that my side of politics was contagious. I want to thank you for that. And the people of Homa Bay are saying, bring your friend Murkomen, let him visit Mfangano, let him look at Mfangano Ring Road, Rusinga Ring Road, let him look at the ferry linking the islands, let him look at the missing link of the Lake Victoria Ring Road, and because he's a football lover, let him in his time as a CS for roads give us the Gor Mahia ring roads in Dhiwa, where Senator Beatrice comes from. Kipchumba Murkomen, if you do that, our people will love you, and perhaps there will be some returns for you later on. But more importantly, continue being as simple and as humble as you are. We have been colleagues going for joint interviews on TV, and Mr. Speaker, I can tell
the message is home. Senator Mohamed Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kumpa mkono wa buriani Mheshimiwa Senator Murkomen ambaye amekuwa na sisi hapa kwa muda wa miaka 10. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilipoingia bunge hili la Senate mwaka 2017, Senator Murkomen alikuwa ni kiongozi wa wengi katika bunge hili, na kwa hakika aliwahudumia maseneta wote kwa njia ya usawa, na kwamba hakuwa na ubaguzi wa aina yoyote. Na nafikiri Senator Cheriot pia ataweza kusoma somo hili na aweze kuendeleza mkondo huu ambao ulikuwa unawasaidia maseneta wote. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile mbali na hapa katika bunge tumecheza mechi nyingi sana na Senator Murkomen. Hususan ya kwanza kabisa tulicheza kule Machakos ambako alifunga goli la kichwa kutokana na cross ama pasi ambao mimi mwenyewe ndio nilimpatia. Kwa hivyo na hiyo ikamfanya kuwa ni mchezaji mkubwa sana kule Elgeyo Marakwet. Mpaka nafikiri kila mtu akamtaka awekwe katika Harambee Star. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya umri ukawa hamruhusu, hakuweza kuingia katika Harambee Star. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika ni mtu ambaye tuweza kusema anachukulia watu wote kuwa ni sawa sawa na heshima kwa binadamu. Kwa hivyo tutamtakia kila laheri katika nyadhifa zake mpya ambayo atakuwa ni ana nyadhifa ya waziri. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kuwa serikali iliondoka imefanya miradi mingi ya maendeleo katika kaunti ya Mombasa, na sisi tunataka ile ambayo imebakia Mheshimiwa Murkomen ambaye ndio waziri wa barabara pia aimalize ili Mombasa iweze kuwa ni Mombasa kama ilivyokuwa hapo awali. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante. Senator Mwenda Julius Gataya.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my young brother, Mheshimiwa Murkomen. I think it's important for this house to note that we are lucky as a house because Mheshimiwa Kipchumba Murkomen knows every part of this nation. I personally know that Murkomen knows where I come from. Matthew, I think I would advise you desist from those instructions. I'm delivering a very important message. So Mheshimiwa Murkomen knows exactly where I come from, especially the Tharaka County. We are one of the marginalized counties, especially in terms of road network, especially the rural parts of Tharaka. Last time when you visited Kalangachini, you remember you promised that this will not be Kalangachini anymore, it will be Kalangaju. So I expect the roads now to come from Kalangachini upwards all the way to Itogoto, to Chuka, and any other place for that matter. And I'm sure this house knows that Murkomen is a sharp mind, very humble, very accessible, he's a simple guy, and I'm sure he's going to carry himself like that all through, because I'm sure quite a number of things that you are likely to get in your office are going to originate from this house. So we expect you to be one of us all through as you go to be a CS. Please carry that tag with you as a senator, because you are the originators of this house. So we are not going to shy away to knock your door, and I'm very sure that carry, but the way you have portrayed yourself all through in this house, you are going to carry it all throughout your life. So wish you well, brother, and I'm very sure as a house we are so proud of you, and I'm very sure you are not going to, because Murkomen, I think you have a very, very, very bright future in this country. As for the 3, you have another 30 years. So you can imagine the ones that are, because we have some people who are going to take about 10 years, then they go to, the constitution will not allow. Then I think you have a bright future, so cultivate your image as you have already.
Senator Sigei Hilali.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Congratulations, my legal partner, mentor, and a lot more. Allow us to blow your trumpet, because a good number of us are here courtesy of the inspiration that you gave us. I am among them. As I congratulate you, I want to give you a challenge that we're looking forward to a cabinet secretary who is like the senator who was in the Senate. The messages of goodwill that you have heard from the colleagues here, we would love to have the same messages of goodwill when you are in the cabinet. I am happy that you have in your speech here told us that you will be a non-partisan cabinet secretary who will do the best to the people of Kenya. We are encouraged, or rather I am encouraged as well, as one of those who have been with you for the longest, all the way from school, that is the university, where we learned so much from this house. Unfortunately, we haven't had the opportunity to learn from you here, but I know we will protect the Senate. We will protect devolution. We will fight for that which is for this house and for devolution to thrive. I wish you very well, my brother, and God bless you as you join the executive. For the next couple of years, we look forward to seeing greater things that you will do for the people of Kenya. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Okongo Mogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also join my colleagues in congratulating Senator Murkomen for getting the approval of the National Assembly to be our CS roads. Mr. Speaker, I hope we have learned something from what Senator Murkomen has told us this afternoon. For the time I've known Senator Murkomen, Mr. Speaker, he has demonstrated to this House that there comes a time when a man must be firm and make a decision and pay the ultimate price. Mr. Speaker, I was in this House, Mr. Speaker, when Senator Murkomen made a decision that did not go well with the president of the day, and he lost his seat as the leader of majority. But Mr. Speaker, that did not end the dreams that Senator Murkomen had of continuing to serve the people of Murkomen, of Elgeyo Marakwet. Instead, Mr. Speaker, God has even blessed him more. He's moving on to become a CS Roads. Senator Murkomen stood with us, some of the counties that were losing when we were dealing with the division of revenue. Perhaps to be on the right side of the powers that be, he would have deserted us and we would have lost. But Mr. Speaker, he stood with us, and the people of Nyamira are forever grateful that you stood with us, and in the process, you assisted us to return 600 million shillings to the county of Nyamira. May God bless you. As you go to this Ministry of Roads, I hope you will tackle the cartels. Senator Murkomen, so many roads in this country are unmarked. So many contractors have been paid for work not done. The road from Metamayo to Nyamira, as a sector of about 1 kilometer that was never tarmacked, yet the contractors have been paid. I hope, Senator Murkomen, you will be able to tackle the cartels in that sector, and we look forward to you being a very good ambassador of this Senate. Please, if you can put a word to His Excellency to deliver this consent of our matter that is.
Thank you. Senator Abbas.
Thank you.
Sorry, Senator Abbas. I can see senators from the right-hand side trying to, some wink at me, others flash the eye. But to be honest, when I check on this list, I cannot see the accounts on my screen. That is what I wanted to identify, whether there is a problem on this side. Yeah?
It's okay. That place is dark.
Proceed, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think mine is to join my colleagues to congratulate my friend, the man we started together politics in URP, and we have been traveling together up to date. And I want to assure you, actually, he's a deserving person who deserves to be given that position. And I want also to thank His Excellency the President for seeing the potential of Senator Murkomen, that is very able and vibrant person. And I believe, and I will assure everybody here, that is a man of all seasons. Is a man who can serve everywhere in this country. Therefore, I want to say, Mr. Murkomen, I'll wish you well, but I want you to remember me, that we have only 12-kilometer road, tarmac road, in Wajir and beyond. And therefore, there is already an ongoing project which was planned for the World Bank from Solo to Wajir, Mandera. I want you to actualize that one, my brother. Because we have stayed many years and many successful governments. We want to see a difference this time. And I want you to make a legacy for the people of Northern Kenya to remember you. With those few remarks, I want to wish you well and all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you, Senator Otsosi.
On my own behalf and the people I represent of Vihiga, I want to congratulate Senator Murkomen for his appointment as a CS. I want to say that I have been observing Honorable Murkomen when I was in the National Assembly, and I want to say I liked his contribution on the floor. And when he was being vetted, he was among the 2 CS nominees who impressed me. I think Honorable Murkomen and Honorable Moses Kuria. They seemed to have an adequate understanding of the respective roles that they were going to perform. But most importantly, Senator Murkomen has been part of the process of nurturing devolution in this country. You remember he was part of the task force that birthed the devolution that we have. And we know he has been very passionate about it. So now that he's going to the Ministry of Roads, we know that under 4th schedule, the transfer of functions for roads, county roads, has not been completed. We would want as a Senate that to be the first assignment we are giving him, so that we have county roads fully under our county government, so that KERA is not acting nationally, and KURA, the mandate to manage the roads must fully return to the county governments. With that, I wish you well as a CS, and please, when we knock on your door, please open for us. Thank you.
Senator Veronica Duarte.
Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to congratulate one of our sterling performers as a senator, as a politician, as a seasoned advocate, accomplished in every sense of that word. Congratulate him for being nominated as a cabinet secretary, and I believe now he has been approved by the National Assembly. I think the contribution you have done to this nation in democratic space is something that has left a mark in the history of the Republic of Kenya. As the UDA party, we are very proud of you. The kind of contribution we have seen you do across the whole nation is something that will be etched in the memory of very many people, especially the young people who have been watching you, who have been reading your tweets every morning. I noted that you are one of the leading tweeters in this nation. When you tweet, everybody follows and everybody is reading and everybody is circulating. And that speaks of the kind of influence you have had in the democratic space in Kenya. You are going into a new zone as a minister for roads. We are looking up to you, Senator, because there are many, many things that need to be done in our infrastructure in this nation. I do not want to quote the two thieves who were crucified with Jesus, because you are not being crucified, but there was a good thief and a bad thief. And the good thief said, when you get there, remember the people. You know, the Hustler Nation is watching you, Kenyans are watching you, that we bring forth the performance that we have promised to the nation of Kenya. We are looking forward to a sterling performance as a cabinet secretary, and we know that you will not fail. You will be successful together with all the other cabinet secretaries who are approved today by National Assembly. Congratulations once again, and we wish you God's blessing. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, at this juncture, I think you will allow me to give two more members, and especially the leadership now, so that because you have some other business. And Senator Murkomen, you know these people want to wish you well, and just accept that all of them have wished you so best wishes, including myself. Yeah, it's only that I cannot be able to debate from here, but I'll do that one time. No. I'll give Senator Duro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate Senator Murkomen. I have known him for the last, I think, 11 years, from the days of URP. Number two, I served with him actually in the last Senate, and I've deputized him. Senator Murkomen is a very kind leader who is very respectful, very social, very encouraging. And I think if I stand here and praise him, maybe I might take some hours. But I want to tell him that we are really happy that he's going to join the other side of the house. I have even traveled all the way to Elgeyo Marakwet with him to address even County Assembly of Elgeyo Marakwet one time. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell Senator Murkomen the sky is the limit. You are young, and I'm sure you are one of the youngest ministers that have been appointed. You understand the challenges of this house. You have been passionate about devolution. As for Isiolo, we have only one tarmac road that has not been finished for the last 6 years, which is Isiolo Kina Garbatula. I hope you will help us to finish that road, and maybe we'll come and discuss. And I hope you will serve us as this house, non-partisan, to make sure that we have really
we are really proud of you as being one of us. We wish you all the best. We will support you in your endeavors. Thank you so much.
Majority Whip, Senator Dr. Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Murkomen, we are happy for you, and we look forward to working happily with you going forward. I remind you, 31st of December 2018, when you came to the land of bullfighting at 6:30 in the morning, and you found 60,000 people waiting for you, and then Deputy President, who is the President, the day when the Luo community made a decision to walk a different path. When you are appointed a minister, my brother, all the 60,000 people you saw were happy, but for only one reason: that you will ensure that the road from Lurambi to Shikoti to Nambacha mpaka Musikoma will be completed. That you will ensure, Minister, the road from Iwokolo to Indangalasia to Shianda to Maraha all the way up to Nabakolo will be completed. That you will ensure all those roads were started by the current president. The road from Ekoli to Kimangeti to Malaba to Samizi will be completed. But most importantly, the village where I was born. Please make sure that you construct our road from Shimanyiro to Shiseso to Malimiri to Shitochi to Kayega to Shinyalu to Rondo up to Gipsonoi. I end, Mr. Speaker, sir, I end by reminding Senator Murkomen, even if you will never do anything in your public life, you've already met your mark. The electronic voting laws that saved this